Hey class, today we are talking about great athletes and applying some of the information from our readings and the presentation and just from our own experience. The statement is great athletes are born and not made. I actually just had an open discussion with my roommate and my boyfriend about this quote and how he really felt about it, and it kind of got a little heated. It was pretty awesome. But kind of what I concluded is that I thought that great athletes can be born, and then my boyfriend and my roommate thought that athletes are not born; they're made. I thought it of not just a great athlete, but just a hard worker can be born. And in order to be a great athlete, you have to work hard. So you can have those specific traits and capabilities, but I don't believe a great athlete is born. I think the mentality and some of the talent, but I mean, you can be talented and not a hard worker, and that's not a great athlete. That's just kind of pathetic. But I think that you can be made into a great athlete because of your hard work and dedication and improvements, just by what we're learning from the readings and the presentation. Like in the presentation, what brought to my eye was the type of training for the ATP aerobic and anaerobic, and it kind of made sense because when I was swimming at the JC, I was always wondering why I'm swimming short distances very quickly and in specific routine, and then one day I am swimming 1,000 yards straight without a break. So I was a miler, and for those of you who don't know, a mile, when you race it, is 66 laps. And let me tell you, it sucks. It's hard, and you have to remain the same pace and keep building, especially towards the end. And what my coach did was we would do 550s, which is 2 laps. We would have a minute to swim it, but you would have to swim your hardest. So the faster you go, the more break you would get. And then we would do a 50 cool down. And then you do it over and over and over again about 4 or 5 times. And then another day we would swim a straight 1,000, no break. And it just kind of made sense changing up the routine, because having your body do the same thing over and over, it kind of just adapts to it. And then the same thing with water polo. We had, there was 2 swim sets that are in my memory that I cannot forget. One was 20 100s. A 100 is 4 laps, so 20 of those in a minute and 20 seconds. And there was no break in between. You swam. Next, when the 120 ended, you start over and over and over. And if you couldn't make the 20 when you finished the last one that you couldn't make, you're out of practice. So it was kind of like a boost, to push yourself and keep swimming it, because you were rewarded to stay in practice. And after we were done with that swim set, we got to shoot around and kind of have fun. But those who didn't make it, they had to go home and think about it, which I don't know. I kind of don't agree with it. But and then what else? There was one that I am thinking about trying with my team, just because it was a great team bonding experience. It was 5 100s on the 125, so a minute and 25 seconds to finish a 100, and everybody on the team had to make it. If one person didn't make it, we would have 2 minutes rest after the 5 and then do it all over again. And as a team, we did 8 rounds total, so 40 100s. And there were times where we stopped and we prayed in between, and then we split it up where fast people were in between slower people so that we can drag them in our wake, and it was pretty awesome. But one of the things in the reading that I kind of caught my eye was the alternatives to Olympic lifting, and it was on page 163. Just some of the examples that it gave us. We had a Olympic powerlifting coach my first year at APU, and He really helped us out in our specific technique, and this brought me back to Unit 2, the journal that we're doing. It talked about the alternatives and how like technique and form is so important, and if you can't even do a specific power lift or any lifting in general, you have to do it with your body weight first. And if you can't do it with your body weight, then you can't do it at all. You have to work on small technique and form in order to build, because if you skip a step, then it creates bad form, posture problems, and can relate into injury later on. So he started off having us all do body weight, and then in order to work on the form, everything we did, powerlifting, snatches, jerks, cleans, deadlifts, all with PCP pipes. So if we couldn't even do it with just that pipe, then we couldn't move on to the next step. So there were a lot of girls at different levels. We had some girls that were already lifting up to 150 pounds, and then we had girls that were still on the pipes halfway through season. And so everybody's different. It just takes time for every single person. And I think as a coach, like, learning this and like adapting from what I've seen and I've experienced, and then what I'm learning from the book and the presentations, like, it's really key as a coach to make sure that we are teaching them proper technique, proper form, because anything that results to them in injury or complications later on, that can reflect back on us and how we coach and how we care about our athletes. And I think that a great athlete is made through all these attributes. They have to work hard, like all those swim sets, pushing themselves. And I also think that a great athlete is a great teammate. Like, you're not a great athlete unless you're a good teammate. You work together as a team. You are a team. You win as a team. You lose as a team. You go through hours and hours of training with your teammates. So you have to work with them in order to play. You can't be the showboat. You're made into a team player. You are made into a great athlete. You are made into whatever you give in. If you don't give in, if you don't put out all your energy and your heart into the sport, then I don't think that you're that great of an athlete. If that makes sense. I think that, like, I put my heart and soul into water polo, and that's why I'm a coach now. I want to have it a part of my life. I want to give athletes the same experience that I had at my JC, because it was so amazing and made me truly love my team, my coach, the sport, and appreciate everything more and more.